Hey, folks, welcome to the pre-show before the recording of the podcast. I'm here with my pal, Eric Fisher, and we are going to go to our various socials as we get ready, as people come in the room here. The room. It's like a chat room. How old am I?
I don't know.
Let me go.
Come on into Mr. Rogers' neighborhood.
Yes. Hey, sit on down. Pull Mr. chair.
Come on into Mr. C's shed.
That sounds bad. Taking somebody to the shed.
So I listened to I don't know why. I listened to the person that played Angela and the person that played Pam on
The Office. Their podcast?
They have a podcast.
Right.
I listened to it. I haven't listened to it in probably a month now, but for a while there, the person that plays Angela, whose real name is Angela, she was getting a she shed in her backyard.
Yeah.
And so she calls it the That's What She Shed.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. So that's what made me think of.
Yeah. A lot of one of my friends who Kate All from Simple Pim podcast, she has a she shed, and so also Ian Cleary, he doesn't have a she shed. He has probably a man cave, but yeah. So a lot of people I saw are starting to do that. So we are talking right now. We're just getting ready. We're sharing it out to all our various socials, and then we'll start the recording of the Geek Life Balance podcast. But we thank everybody who's watching us on this lovely Sunday afternoon.
Yes.
So let me share this.
Because what else do you have to do on a Sunday when you're stuck inside?
Take a nap. Oops, wrong button. Dang it. Too many buttons to press.
Share now.
I think I would know how to do this.
Okay. Jeez. You'd think I'd know how to do this.
I know. Aren't you like, you did this before I did. So here we go. Clicking on. Let's see.
Oh, well. Good enough. I was going to write something and then it just shared it publicly on Facebook instead. So I was like, whatever. Don't care.
Yeah, I don't like that button. I don't know why they do that.
I don't want to just share it publicly. You should should have to hit another button to do it.
Is this our second episode, by the way?
This is number 3, dude.
Oh,
We've done 2 already. We're going to get in iTunes. We're going to figure that out and get it. Yeah. I'm not saying figure it out. We know what we need to do. We're
working on our artwork right now
that we're missing.
Hey, there's my friend from college, Adam Stokes. Hey, it's my friend Jeff C. Holy crap, look at that beard. Yes, it's a little long. Adam, good to see you here today. It's my pal Eric Fisher.
Get this done.
Let's see. We're going to get ready and start the recording.
Ben Dempsey, good to see you.
Yeah, from Periscope. See, you made fun of me for going to Periscope.
No, I wasn't making fun of anything. I was just confirming. Periscope? Yes, good.
You sound like a robot. You may need to refresh before we start going.
All right.
You're and it's just me. So we'll go live here in a little bit. Thanks for everybody for sticking around as we get going. Thanks for stopping by, Ben. Appreciate that. Joe says, afternoon, Jeff C. Going to leave you for a bicycle ride with my gorgeous bride. Yes, have fun. I'm glad you guys are going out.
How's that?
So
better?
That's good. Well,
how does it sound? It sounds okay to me.
Are you guys hearing Eric sound like a robot? That's what I'm hearing. So let me make sure my wife has actually turned off the internet like she's supposed to.
Oh, jeez.
That's probably maybe in my issue, but
yeah, because it sounds okay to me on my end, and it was okay, and then it started doing it. Apparently,
it's still bad for me. So I don't know if anybody else is seeing that. Sarah goes, "Hey Jeff, hi Eric. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday to you, Sarah. We are."
Let me try turning off my.
Good. So it's got to be my.
It's on your end.
Off. Let me double check over here.
Okay, Ben says it sounds good.
So I don't know what's going on.
Okay. Yeah, Damien says it sounds fine.
Okay.
Damien says I sound fine.
Yeah, so it's probably she says it's off. So we'll just go.
I mean,
if I go out, you'll have to just run it yourself. So
yeah, that's a good point.
Let's hit record on the old podcast machine. You'll have a good
Sarah says I sound great too.
Okay.
Oh yeah, so hitting record.
There we go.
All right.
Are you ready to start?
I guess.
Hello folks, I'm Jeff C and this is Geek Life Balance.
And I'm Eric Fisher, and this is the show where we talk about the Venn diagram of geek life and productive life and real life and everything in between. We've hit that sweet spot of geekiness as well as nerdiness. Well, that's a whole.
nerdiness.
We're not going to talk about the difference between geeks and nerds. Basically, they've kind of.
That'll be a show, though. It will.
We will do that. We will talk about that. But at this point, we're here to talk this week about something that is on everybody's minds, which is content or media. Let's use the word media, because content sounds just. I still have a problem with that word. It's just like, content. It's like,
sounds boring.
Anyway, so. Yeah. So perfect. But anyway, yeah, we're going to talk about media consumption strategies. Jeff's apparently gone. So yeah, something's up with his internet, but we kind of got the idea for this when it came down to, there he is. So did you go away on purpose?
Yeah, you're still sounding really funky.
I don't know what's going on. See, on my end, it sounds okay. So anyway, whatever. Edit all this out. Where was I? Anyway, point being, we're going to talk about media consumption. And the reason is because we already had this as a topic. Here's the thing, guys. You got to understand, before the now time, as we like to refer to these, insert your word here, times.
The time that shall not be named.
Troubled, troubling, turbulent, whatever word you want to use, that's fine. But before all these times, we had come up with all these ideas for these shows, and we were going to do that. And so, see, they're saying it sounds good on their end too. So, point being, we had all these ideas. We were going to talk about media consumption. We were going to kind of talk about, hey, what's on this channel? What's on this? Who cares? Go lean hard into the geeky stuff. However, the life balance aspect of it now plays in.
Yes,
because remember when this, again, air quotes, this all started, everybody was like, wait, give me your suggestions for what's the best thing to binge now that I've got all this time on my hands. Right. And you and I are like, who's got all this time on their hands? I mean, if you have all this time on your hands, that means potentially you don't have work, which that's not something that's good. We are, quote, fortunate enough to still have lots of work to do. Mm-hmm. And we are still at home where we usually do that work. So nothing really has changed, other than the extenuating circumstances for me specifically, my family being around, which I can hear right now and it's driving me nuts, or other things.
Right. So one of the things I want to talk about is like, no, I get it. I mean, and we've seen all these things, somebody posted like, so I went through Netflix, what's next? They're joking. There's a lot of those memes kind of things. And I get it. I mean, I've been in this, and we're not saying we're like these super, we're putting out content and blogging and blah, blah. We're not that. I mean, there's something about just sitting down and consuming content, turn on Netflix to distract your mind. I mean, we get that. I mean, we both will admit that we do that, but I think, as it hits, I don't want that to become a habit. And I think most people don't want it to become a habit either. I think, you need to have some strategies in place now, because this is brand new. Nobody knows. We have never seen this before. This is a whole new roadmap of things that's going on. And the best way to navigate that is to kind of have a plan, like to sit down and like, okay, I watched I was sent home. And so I watched the entire, season of Mad Men again, or The Office or whatever. So I don't want to continue that. So what can I do instead? I think that's what we're going to be talking about today.
Yeah. So Jeff, your video has frozen now.
Yes, it has.
In case you didn't know. So
I look great though. Just keep going. You can hear me.
I'm trying to give ample silent spots that we can cut around that later, just so it's easier. So, and now you're.
It's coming back. So here we go. Just a second. Keep going.
Okay. So obviously, no one needs to sit through us just talking about, well, here's what you should be binging, or here's what you should be watching because we're watching it and we want to tell you what to do. Right. That's kind of a boring conversation. However, we should throw a little bit of that in there. Talk about what we were watching, what we want to be watching, what we are watching, those kinds of things. Some of the best stuff picked by us, so that if you have somewhat similar tastes, you can go and appreciate that as well. And I have some of that stuff in the top of my head. And I know you do as well.
And I know one we just finished, and if you haven't watched it, it's really good, especially if you watched the earlier kind of show. It's Picard. We have both been nerding out on Picard. That's been a great show. It's been really, really good. It's if you don't have CBS All Access, it's worth turning it on for a month and like
at Actually, I think
Binging
there's
it?
like a free month right now. that
Okay.
If you
Yeah.
want to go grab it, I think that was something Sir Patrick Stewart. That's weird for me to say.
Sir
But it
Patrick
is.
Stewart.
His Twitter handle is Sir Patrick or Sir Pat Stew or Sir Patrick Stew.
Right.
So, but yeah, there's a free deal. So go check out CBS
Yeah.
All Access. You can get, I mean, because it's 10 episodes, you can binge the whole thing.
So let's
and
talk
it's great.
about that. So we didn't binge it because it was released episodically, and that was good. So that was something my wife and I, because a lot of times during the week I maybe watch a half an hour or something in the evenings, but I'm tired, and we'll get into why later. But the being able to sit down on a Friday, it was released on Thursday. My dad he'd always watch it first because I'd see him in my queue. He'd always watch, and then we would watch it on Fridays, and that was something we looked forward to and set aside, and was kind of our time. So, I mean, we're not saying not to watch stuff, but being very intentional about it, I think is something we should do.
Yeah, I would say don't go burning through everything because you don't know how much longer you've got to wait. Let's put it.
Oh, and something you need to mention because you ran into this yesterday.
I made a note of this.
Is because your internet went down.
Yes. So Friday.
For that, yeah.
Yeah. So Friday, I woke up on my birthday, and the internet was out. And I was like, okay, hold on. Normal protocol stipulates find out if this is my problem or a local outage.
Right.
Turns out it was a local outage, and it lasted from 8 a.m. Ironically, from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. my time. So just my work hours, traditional work hours. And so suddenly it was like the kids were like, well, I can't watch anything. And, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, this is why moving forward, we need to make sure we have some things downloaded to devices. Now, here's the thing. Physical media, we still have some of it.
Right.
So what I did, because I was so getting back to Picard, some of the stuff that I had been doing was watching through some of the Star Trek The Next Generation Blu-rays of the movies. And so I popped one in and I kept watching during my lunch hour as a break. So no problem there. But other than the stress of trying to figure out the Wi-Fi issues for the day, which wasn't my issue. So.
Well, Eric went away. Eric, are you there? You there?
Yes.
That was weird. The internet is running slow
I don't know
today.
what happened. So that was weird. So anyway, StreamYard said something to me, but so all that to say, number one, make sure you've got options. Number two, make sure you've got either physical media or downloaded media or both, because you just don't know what's going to happen. And I'm not just saying like consume media with your eyeballs on a screen, but like get some magazines, get some books, get some podcasts downloaded, get all that stuff gathered. Right. Have it on, if there was any time to hoard something instead of toilet paper, it's media and podcasts and shows and movies and whatever. So
right. Yeah, I think that's you want to make sure that you have something, because I think we're going to have more and more of these internet outages, as you've seen today during the show.
Yeah. I mean, that's really the thing. And we kind of said, let's do this on off-peak hours on a Sunday and do it, have fun with it. But apparently there's other plans in place.
So the reason, so we've talked about it's okay to consume media. Don't go nuts, but also there needs to be a plan for your media consumption. And, one of the things at this time is writing some stuff down. And I had Mark Schaefer, I interviewed him for Social Media Examiner and in the Society. And one of the things he was talking about that we're in this unprecedented time. And he said, write this down, because nobody has gone through this before. And that really, I had started journaling this year for like the first, really consistently. My wife has done it for years, but I kind of slacked off. But he really got me going again, because he's like, this is something you will talk to your kids about. You're going through this history. It's like, if you know anybody who went through the Depression, and they talk about stuff. I had my neighbor, and I still remember it. he would give us all his rhubarb he'd grow in the garden because that's all he ate during the Depression, and he hated it. And so he gave it to our family. And so those things stick in my mind. But so that we're going to have these stories about what happened, how things change, school, all this stuff. So I say that one of the first things to do is to start to journal. And since this is the Geek Life Balance, we were kind of geek out about that. I don't do a paper journal. I use, there's a really good app called Day One, and it's free. But if you want to pay for it, there's some extra things you can do, like, get your Instagram stream in there and all sorts of stuff. But I've been using the free one for a couple of months, and I really like it. But it's locked, so my wife can't get it unless she has my thumbprint, and she'd have to kill me first. And then I just type in there. And there's even, if you like the 5-day journal kind of stuff, they've got templates that are already built in that you could just fill that out. But I would encourage you guys during this time is take some time to journal, and just, even if it's a paragraph a day, I mean, that's something that you can like write your thoughts down. One, it's good for you. It just kind of letting that stuff out, and some ideas may happen. And other, you might want to show that to your kids or grandkids later on.
Well, and the other important thing there is that's a form of self-awareness. And
Right.
It also allows you to not just catalog or document the time that you're in, but also be real, be self-aware of your
Right.
thoughts, your feelings, and to then have those not bubble up or trigger out when you see something or hear something on social, or
Right.
somebody that you're living with
Right.
does something.
Yeah.
And then you're reacting rather than responding,
Right.
or even deciding whether you need to respond at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So.
The other thing I would mention to do as kind of a tip is like to schedule some analog time, which is not on the screens. I mean, I can't remember the consumption that they were saying Netflix was up. I mean, they had to drop it down to SD quality in the EU.
Yeah.
I mean, so we're hitting this hard. And it was funny because you and I have joked about this before, but we get our like your screen time notification like on our way to church or whatever. It's like things like, oh, and mine was up, of course, like 90% from this last report that I got. And it's because I've been checking the news, and I'm like, man, you just need to check the news like it in the morning, and then just let it go and quit going. I'm just kind of a news junkie, and I want to know what's going on, but I got to let that go. So go ahead.
Yeah. And that's where I'm at right now is as I'll kind of allow myself to look at some things in the morning, allow myself to kind of reacquaint / check in news wise in the evening at some point. And throughout the day, I'm not using social on my phone. I have no social on my phone. I removed it, like we talked about in the last episode, and that's been so much better. I don't think I could cope if I was doing constantly scrolling.
Right. Well, I think if you're really schedule it, even if it's like going out for a walk or just getting away from screens. One thing I used to do, and this is a weird hybrid, is I used to carve. That was kind of my non-screen time. I'd listen to a podcast or whatever. Now I flipped that and actually have been going live what it's done is make me carve every day, but it's also a great place for me to plug in and talk to people, and people seem to like it. So I've been doing this carving thing online every day. So I still count that as analog because I'm not doing my work, and I'm just turning on a camera is pretty much what it is.
Just because other people can watch you digitally doesn't mean you're digitally
that's right.
interacting.
So it's still
you're doing analog work.
It's still screen time, but it's something that it's a new skill. That's the other thing Mark talked about, use this time to develop. And I mean, even if it's like you had mentioned, reading a book, reading a new book, learning a new skill, learn how to play the piano, go get Rosetta Stone and start learning a new language. I mean, I think if you we're not saying to stop consuming content, but maybe taking like an hour that you were using just to consume content and use that hour to go down a rabbit trail of something that you've always wanted to discover before or learn more about and go down and kind of that way. And, Netflix is going to be there if you want to. You can always go back to it later. Yes,
your queue's not going anywhere. Don't worry about that. It's you're going to always be adding stuff to it. So
yeah, Sabrina says she lives in New York. It's too depressing to keep checking. I live in New York City, so I bet I'm sure Sabrina. That is, I've got some friends like George who watches a lot of our stuff. He's there too, and I can only imagine. So yeah.
The other thing I wanted to bring up was, and I definitely do want to come back around. Let's save this for the end. Let's kind of, we threw out our one thing of Picard, but let's come back around. So if you're listening right now, and we come back around to the end and give a bunch of media suggestions, we'll round it out by circling back around to that. But in the meantime, not only do you need to think about how much, and we should probably talk about this, how much time you're spending consuming, because things are, habits and routines are thrown out the window now. Even if you already had them in place, you've probably already had to adjust them or had no, whether you've had a choice to or not. This is a great place. This is why I'm going to re-release on my show, my episode with James Clear about Atomic Habits, because
that's a great one.
Of all the times in the world right now, people have had, you need to reassess what your habits and your routines are. And so why not walk through that process? I'm going to pull the book back out and go through it again myself. But where was I going?
Well, I want to pull up this because this Carrie, she's been doing some, and I know she goes, I've inadvertently changed my social absorption. She's changed it up, and she's created some really fun groups. I know she comes to the carving show that we talked about earlier, but she's not trying to sell stuff or she's not doing anything, but she's really engaging in the social aspect of some of this stuff online, which I think is a good thing that's happening on this. I'm seeing a lot of groups coming around. Elisa Meredith, she does this pouring kind of artwork where she pours different kinds of oils and stuff, and she did that yesterday live. I saw
that.
And just talking with people in cool new ways. I have found out more things about my friends that I had never found out before, just on random comments that are coming up when we ask questions. So I think it's pretty cool. So yeah, she says I'm all discombobulated. It's hilarious.
Yeah. So and that's the thing is, like, let's give a quick caveat to, like, prior to this time, how much on average, what was our media consumption routine? What did it look like? So you start.
Oh, mine was less than yours. So I would only try.
I think so.
So probably the last year I've only tried to, like, if I consume anything, it'd probably be an hour a day. Now I read a lot in the morning. That's the first thing I do when I get up. So I read, and then I kind of do some meditation and prayer stuff. And then I also check the news, kind of a thing. I get up early, and kind of that's the first part of my day. But I've been very selective on the media that I want. Now, don't get me wrong. I've watched all the Marvel movies multiple times and stuff. I'm not some stoic where I'm like, I just don't, I'm like, not like a monk or something, but I'm trying really to only consume stuff that people have recommended to me, or that I know that I will like you have told me about some shows and some stuff to watch. And so that's the only time I'll kind of do new stuff. And I'm also really trying to, when I was really young, I would watch everything. I was a junkie. Movies, I would go and go one after another in the theater and spend all day there.
Oh, I love that.
Now I'm trying to really be thinking about how it's going to affect me, like negative. If I'm going to a depressed, that's why I still haven't seen The Joker. You have told me, like, I don't need to see it. My kids have seen it, and they're like, ugh. And I'm like, I don't want to see it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, that's exactly the kind of content right now that I would avoid. My routine was I'd probably see something maybe in the morning. I would also more in the evenings. It was kind of, am I watching something with my son, or am I watching something with my daughter, or am I watching something by myself? And usually it's something humorous. Or at least that has humor in it. Like, we would watch the TV show Flash or different things like that. Right. My daughter and I were going through a bunch of the different Mike Schur television shows: The Office, Parks and Rec, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, The Good Place, those things. And it was because, like, you want to have something that's not going to be putting you in a bad mood. And so you want something that's kind of entertaining and light and jokey and funny. And so that's why I'm always on the lookout for, like, what's the thing I need to go back to of those, or what's the next one that I want to kind of check out. Something that's too serious, though, it's like,
that's why I do not get why, like, the movie Pandemic is like one of the most popular ones right now. I'm like, we're living in it. Why do you want to watch it? Or Outbreak, that old one with Dustin Hoffman. And I'm like, no thanks.
I think it's all the people who don't take anything of this seriously that are watching it.
I don't know.
Or
But
they just can switch
to
that
be
off.
honest,
I can't.
this will be really controversial. I haven't watched any of the Tiger King stuff that everybody says to
I'm right there with you.
And I'm just like,
I will never watch that. Sorry.
That's a little too, I just, I don't need it. So, okay, Liz says something. I love Liz. She goes, "Oh my gosh, Jeff, I'm so with you. Someone was playing the Joker the other day, and I saw like 30 seconds of it and literally walked away. I intentionally follow a very low info diet, and after years and years of that, I can watch humorous stuff." That's a great point, Liz. Yeah. So, yeah. It's fun. That reminded me of a thing. I remember in college, I was donating plasma because I needed money. That's how that is. And they had it set up in this college town where they just had, all these couches, and they had TVs where you could watch movies because they were catering to the college audience. And they were showing The Fly. And I'm like, oh, it was just gross. And I'm like getting blood for it. I'm like, why are you watching that right now?
Read the room. Nobody wants to be poked with needles while seeing.
Yes.
I don't know. Jeff Goldblum is kind of awesome, but
throwing up on donuts when you're getting. And they didn't take blood. It took it out and they spun it and got the plasma and they shot it back in. And it's just like crazy. Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, point being, you've got to keep an eye on the amount of time, because here's the thing. Even though we're not kids anymore, go back to the old adage of your kid sits in front of a screen, no matter what kind of screen it is, for long enough, it starts to get them cranky. And so you also
get cranky too.
Are gonna. Yes, I've seen Jeff be cranky. And so point being, you've got to change it up. You've got to, because that's one of the things that right now is hard for a lot of people to be aware of, is the passage of time. And there's this "what day is it" thing. And I'm like, you know what? I'm noticing I don't have problems with that. I'm locked into enough of a daily routine, and which day of the week is what day, work-wise, week-wise, etc. Everybody else, very different story. But for me, like I knew today's feels like a Sunday. So whatever.
Right.
Who cares? Yeah. Not only the frequency, not only the amount of time, but again, how much time you're putting in on that, and allow yourself to have extra time. Because at this point, if you have extra time and you need extra time in order to cope, and that can be a good thing, great. Just don't go all in on it to where that's the only thing in terms of that media is the only, that consumption of media is the only thing that you're doing. Unless it's books. Yeah. I would say, and if it's a book, go a little crazier than with TV. But read
more. And you know what? And this comes from, I think it was on your podcast, Todd Henry. If you haven't checked out Eric's podcast, Beyond the To-Do List, you need to. Todd Henry, he does the Accidental Creative, got a bunch of good books, and I binged those. And he's also been on your podcast quite a few, like 4 times or something, 3 or 4 times like that, or something like that.
Yeah, about 3 or 4.
Yeah, one of the things he was talking about is processing that. So after I listened to him and read his stuff, so I don't just only read, and I do just because I read and my wife won't let me have any more books, is I get Kindle editions of them. And so with the new iPad, you can slide in your notes app. And so I'm taking notes, like copying and pasting. Tim Ferriss had a great thing where he highlights everything. Then you can export those highlights and then take a screenshot of it to Evernote. And then it's, it's searchable. So anyway, that's a geeky hack. But so I've been really making sure that I process stuff that I collect, like ideas. Like if I'm reading, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's a great idea. Or Eric said this, that would be a good episode, is actually, taking those down and then actually having a time. And I usually do it on Sundays, is like processing that and put them in correct folders and all that kind of thing.
Yeah. So you've just mentioned basically the third part of the Triforce here. There's been a lot of Legend of Zelda going on in my house. So we're going to go with that. Content creation, consumption, creation, and then processing. That's kind of this other place that a lot of people don't talk about or go to. And it's not even necessarily that you have to process it per se, but it's that middle ground where you're not consuming and you're not creating, you're just being. This is like what happens when, now I get it. Even if I go outside and I'm on a walk with no, music or podcast going on, and there's nobody with me, and it's just me and my thoughts, I'm and still, yes, me and my shadow as well, hopefully, because that would mean there'd be sun. That I know I'm still processing or taking in and consuming the the view around me.
Decompressing.
But I'm decompressing. I'm allowing there to be a margin or a space in my brain between what I've done and what I am going to be doing. There's a meditation aspect to that. In fact, I'd love for you to bring up, you've been working on that with Brain FM.
Oh yeah. So I love Brain FM.
Brain FM is great for all these things. By the way, I'm an affiliate. And if you want to get 20% off, beyondthetodolist.com/Brain FM.
Hey, we didn't say we could do that. We didn't say that.
I have to do it. I have to do it.
No, but I love, you got me on. I was using,
it's amazing.
Oh, the other one that you had on your show.
Free to Focus.
Yeah. Yeah.
No,
so
no. Well, hold on.
Focus at Will.
Focus at Will.
That
Free
was
to Focus
book.
is Michael Hyatt.
Yeah. So I've been using Brain FM and I like it a lot better. I like the app, and so I use it that's what I listen to when I in the morning when I do the meditation and read. And what I did, because I had never meditated before or in my life or be still or whatever, and I started doing this before social media marketing world, and I started with 5 minutes, and then I would increase that every week. So I just add a minute. I wouldn't do any big jumps or like another 5 minutes. It would be like a minute. And so now like I'm up to 16 minutes. So Sarah says Mindspace is amazing. So I've heard things about that. Calm is another good one.
There's another one that give you a balance. Go find the Balance meditation app. It's a B,
right?
A big B. They give a free year of it away if you go sign up for it. So
I like mostly the unguided stuff because I don't want to get into
too
woo-wooey stuff. So I like the where I can just listen and to try to be still and that kind of stuff. And it's been really, really good. It's been good. So I usually do like my Bible reading before that, and then I do the meditation stuff. And so that's been really helpful. But I think trying to learn a new habit, and this took me forever to do, is to do it in increments. Like that's why, we talked about being analog. Do it for 15 minutes and then work up to an hour. I mean, something, if you can, I would always try in my youth when I was younger to do it all at once. Like I'm going to, do this for, an hour, and I would do it for twice and then I would quit. So, but
you go at it with a sledgehammer and like, why is this not working? I can't do it. It's not for me. Forget it.
Right. No. And I started the same thing with I started doing push-ups when I get out of bed, and I started with one. I'm just like, I did it one. And then you just work up that way. And so I think all the stuff we're talking about, setting, we all want new goals. We're talking about media consumption, is starting small. I mean, start with like things that you can win at. You can meditate for a minute.
Yes.
You can be quiet for a minute, and then just keep going on that. And I think that's the big lesson that Eric and I have learned, is don't do too much. Don't bite off more you can chew if you're trying to do a new habit.
And this still applies to things like you were talking about earlier, like journaling, where again, even though you're creating something, don't think of it in that mindset. Don't think of it in a category of I'm creating this as some sort of thing that's work, because because different things, gosh, this could go, let's just put it this way. There are things that can be restful and restorative that are work for other people, but not for you, and vice versa. If that's the simplest way I can put that. So, and Carrie, bring that back up. Carrie was saying there's some great quote music on YouTube for background, for meditating, soothing sounds, and she does work to that. That's what Brain FM is to me. And in fact, again, with the meditation stuff, that's why I really like Brain FM, because it's so versatile. Because
it helps you focus and let you sleep.
For focus, for naps, for sleep, outright sleep, but then also relaxing, and then especially meditation, because it's kind of like having that meditation crutch. It'll get you into that brain state quicker, so that it's easier to. It's kind of like, even though it's not guided meditation, it's like having somebody spot you as you're doing the reps.
Well, they have there is guided meditation in the FM. I just don't like her voice.
I don't do that. No, I don't do that either. Yeah. So, but the great thing is, and again, the other great thing about it is you can download it, but ultimately, and so that you can do it again, downloading things, so that if the internet's wonky, you've still got it to be able to use. I would say, like, for example, go out, and if you can, depending upon your location right now or in the future, go out, take a walk around the block without any kind of media, no music, no podcast, no phone for that matter, and just do that walk. If that's 5 minutes, if it's 10 minutes, you know how long it's going to take you. You're going to be familiar with where you're at. You don't have to keep looking at the clock and say, how much more do I have left to do here? Like, you just know, and you go do it and you come back, and then you're going to be able to say, okay, I know I can do that. So,
yeah.
But I was talking about journaling, and that's the other piece, is that, like you said, it's, and like we said earlier, it's not just about sorting your thoughts out or cataloging your tasks, etc. It's about self-awareness, and that's one of the other things that comes along with that processing time.
Yeah.
So,
and it's amazing things, the ideas that you'll get from just doing, even like I said, there's templates in there of the 5-minute journal, which is like, name 3 things you're grateful for at the end, the end of your day or whatever. And that, especially during this time, has helped a ton. And it really has. So I think just doing like a 5-minute journal is something great. So, and Sabrina goes, thanks you so much for this. I'm outside walking, and I hope I don't lose you. Well, we appreciate it. Yes, she has a mask on, and you have lifted my spirits. Well, thanks, Sabrina. You have lifted ours by leaving that comment. That's
awesome,
really
Sabrina.
cool.
Glad we can help you with that.
And I know I see you around in the socials, and I know you are not just consuming content, you're also creating stuff too, and interacting with people, which is awesome. So yeah, you are appreciated.
But yeah, ultimately shaking up your that Triforce, let's go with that, one, make sure you've got all those components, make sure that you've got consumption, because you're going to need to do that, trust me,
right?
And then 2, creation, but then 3, that processing time, that in-between skill, right? So
and try something new for 15 minutes a day. And if you don't like it, I mean, like, do something else. If there's something that you've always wanted to learn more about, we've never had this much information at our fingertips before. And that gives me a lot of hope with the situation that we're in, but go and learn something new. And if you don't like it, go to something else, or, learn a new skill, blogs, try a blog, Dennis Yu was saying in one of his posts, is like, this is a time where, because all these places are opening up like free, like for this month, learning, Udemy, and people are offering their courses super cheap and all this stuff. This is a great, great time. And it's okay not to say that this is scary and we don't know what's going to happen. And it's okay to go and watch The Office to just take your mind off things. But you also want to pick yourself up, and this is a great time to learn. So just 15 minutes a day, you can get a lot done. That's what I would like to, when I do that carving show, I always have a timer, because I want to show people how much you can actually get done in just 30 minutes. Yeah. And that doesn't just apply to like wood carving or something, but, piano playing or learning to be a better writer, joke writing, it's just, there's amazing things that you can do.
Masterclass is awesome.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Let's see. So I guess we could probably kind of wind up, or wrap it up with wind down, wrap it up. There you go. I had mixed them up, mix matched, whatever.
So I want to bring up a comment here. George is here. He actually does come to that show that I do, and he uses that time to interact with people, but he's also been editing photos. So he's like doing work, but also using time to, be with the community and talk with people. And so I think that's a great use too, is using some of those times of the stuff that you have to do, that you can maybe kind of do autopilot, but still, be part of some of these communities. I think it's a great thing.
I think there's one other piece that I would throw out there, which is, and then I want to get to Sarah's question that she just asked us, which is, dang it, I know what it is. So we've talked about media earlier, and we were joking about movie theaters, and there's nothing I would love more right now than to go to one. And there's nothing I'd love right now than to go to a place like a coffee shop where there's people. There's nothing like, here's the thing, people talking about, oh, movie theaters are dead and blah, blah, blah. Well, they're probably going to struggle a bit, but point being, I don't think they're going to be dead, because I think people want to be together. And that's one of the other pieces outside of the 3 we've talked about here, socializing. And I don't mean just like this, like you and I are doing right now, because I mean, again, this is the bulk of what we do, socializing. We don't see each other in person that much, but we see each other like this all the time, once, twice, 3 times a week. Not to mention other mediums, but for a lot of people right now, this is the only way. And I think factor that in to, number one, increased screen time, but lean more on this so that you're checking in on
Right.
people, or you're being checked in on. Allow yourself to be checked in on.
Right.
So keep that in mind as well. I didn't want to skip that.
No, I think that's great. And so this kind of goes back to you were going to circle around to the questions of some media that we've been consuming. Sarah asked this. She goes, what recent books, podcasts, etc. do you recommend consuming to learn more about content marketing? That's a great one. I'll tell you what, I say any book by Mark Schaefer.
Yes.
He has his book called Marketing Rebellion. It is excellent. I started rereading that before I was going to, we had the interview with him. And it's especially during this time, the right way to market is really, really good. The way it's my philosophy. I like the way I am very in tune with his philosophy behind marketing and how he teaches it and how to do it. So his books are really good. Mark Schaefer, Kim Garst, my good friend, she's got a lot of stuff, real practical stuff right now that she's putting out on like helping businesses make money, how to content market. She's got a ton of different things. She's a great one. Peg Fitzpatrick is always good to look at. Rebecca Radice. Trying to think of some podcasts. There's so many good podcasts.
It used to be called the Unpodcast, but it's now been rebranded as the Jackass Whisperer. It's Scott Stratton and Allison Stratton, and it's I love them. I love their show.
Yeah.
If you're in the online business or not, like, it's an amazing podcast to go to.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to think of what else there is out there. I don't listen to a lot of those kinds.
Oh, Liz says, do you even blog? It's her favorite podcast and blog on content marketing. That's a great one. That is a good one. Jay Bear has some great stuff. He's got his Social Pros podcast is good.
We'd be remiss if we didn't mention
Tyler Anderson. Tyler Anderson has a great one.
We'd be remiss if we didn't mention the ones that we're directly involved with. So all the stuff that Agora Pulse puts out.
Yeah.
As well as you do the show I used to host.
Right. Social Media Examiner's Friday show, which we had some great guests last week. We talked about, so it's released every Saturday, so you can go listen to that. And there's Grace puts together the wrap up, and it's an awesome one. We had Allie Bloyd, who's like a specialist in local Facebook stuff for companies, and also Ian Anderson Gray, all about live video and how to use it and some of the new stuff that's been released. So that you can go listen to. It's on LinkedIn. It's on Facebook. It's also on all the channels, the Spotify's and the Apples.
Yeah.
So
and honestly, again, not to plug my own show, but you can go listen to that. I've had some recent episodes. One was with Michael Hyatt, which is all about his new book, The Vision Driven Leader, which, again, it's one of those things that it's like we had already recorded it prior to everything kind of turning to a different direction, and yet I have not recorded a new one yet in the midst of all of this stuff, because I already had stuff pre-recorded, but it's like, no, it all still fits. I had one about fear, being aware of fear and being courageous in the midst of it and taking action anyway.
Right.
Even if you're afraid. Vision Driven Leader with Michael Hyatt. We all need to be thinking about the vision for the future right now as we walk through where we are currently. Not to mention a couple of other ones. There was one, actually, this one's really timely. There was one, I forget his name, and I'm not going to look it up, but it was all about basically coffee and
right. There's a sleep one that you did. It's
things.
pretty good too.
Yeah. So I'm going to try and pull together. I've been kind of thinking, you know what, I'm going to pull out some of my older stuff that fits
And
this,
combine them. Yeah.
and just kind of re-release it, because it's going to be more appropriate that way.
Another good podcast is Rich Brooks. Rich Brooks does Agent of Change. That's a great one. I was just interviewed for it. It's going to be out a couple of weeks, but he does some really great stuff. He's just a funny dude too. So he's got some good episodes as well. So yeah, hopefully that Sarah gave you some ideas on books, podcasts, and stuff. There's a lot of bad content out there, honestly. And so this is how I learned, is I would go from people who I liked the way that they did stuff. I saw them online, and who they recommended is who I went and learned from. And then from those people who they recommended, I learned from. And so that is the best way. It's like you look at somebody who you trust and you like, and you find out who they trust and like, and you kind of follow down that path. And that to me is the best way, because there's a lot of junk out there too that's frankly wrong.
Yeah, actually, you bring that up, but that's actually one of the ways that I know a book is great, because I'll see Jay Bear post about it on Instagram. So go check out Jay Bear's Instagram feed, and you will see he posts about books that are right in that vein of what you're looking for when you ask that question.
Right. And to be honest, my favorite one right now, I know it's hard right now for speakers, but he's got his standing ovation, where he gets people like Scott Stratton to talk about the stories behind the story for like, their signature story they tell on stage. And I have learned so much about presenting and storytelling and a bunch of stuff from his podcast. So I highly recommend Standing Ovation by Jay Bear. It's really good.
So I think we've covered podcasts a whole lot right now in terms of what people could be listening to. Unless there's any fun ones out there that you listen to that are non-business oriented, you want to give a mention.
I still love Radiolab. I always feel smarter after I listen to that. I'd have to look and see. I mostly that's kind of what I go to, like when I mow, so I don't have to worry about work or something. And I listen to that or yours or a lot of my friends I listen to their stuff to keep up with.
Yeah. So there's not a lot that I can recommend other than, again, there's the ones that I like that are, interview based with well-known people, and it's just fun and interesting to listen to those, like Conan O'Brien's and different things like that. But again, all these have kind of gone into a state of flux of how they're doing what they're doing. So,
but there's a lot of this could be a whole episode. We probably ought to put a pin in it, but we probably ought to talk sometime about how those people have pivoted and are using like their iPhone and stuff like that to do their shows, because they know how to tell a story. And I think that could be a whole episode of storytelling or something like that. Because
we'll come back to that. Let's round out now. Let's wind down.
Wind down.
Let's wrap it up. Let's do some. Hey, if you've not seen this movie, you need to see it. Or if you've not watched this show, you need to watch it. Kind of stuff, just to leave people with some recommendations from us. I can go first with one that I've already told you, and I know you've seen. Is you got to watch Jojo Rabbit.
Yes, we did. I watched it on the plane when we were flying to Orlando. Yeah.
It's so good. It's funny, and it's witty, and it's emotional. I mean, and here's the thing: it might be a little bit too heavy.
I don't know. It's such a good movie, though.
It's so good. So yeah. So there you go. So that's a movie. I just watched Onward last night on Disney Plus with my kids. That's enjoyable. It's not, I haven't watched that. It's not Pixar's best, but it's not Pixar's worst either. It's right in that kind of second tier. So
Ramon, I binge watched 24. I love 24. That is a good show.
Hey Ramon.
That is we would wait, my wife and I would wait and not watch the season because we'd miss it back in, but this was even before like TiVo. And we would buy the DVD so we could binge it. And we'd be up like to 3 a.m. and we'd look at each other and go, one more, and I mean, yeah. So that was like the first bingeable, really good show.
Did you ever watch Portlandia at all?
No, I didn't watch much of it.
Okay, so there's a sketch that they do.
Oh, they're here.
Battlestar Galactica. Yeah.
Yes, you've been recommended to Even Blog to actually to listen to. So awesome! I have to go check it out.
There's a Portlandia skit where it's Battlestar Galactica, and they're like, one more, okay, one more, and then it says 8 hours later, hey, I don't know, well, I just got fired from my job. One more, yeah, and it's funny.
Yeah. So one of the things that I have been trying to, I'm always collecting speakers, and Ramon's here. He's an incredible speaker. He was actually on Jay Bear's Standing Ovation. So you make sure you check out Ramon's episode because it's really, really good. So let's see what else. So I've been watching like documentaries. I loved the series on Disney Plus with Jeff Goldblum. My daughter and I really had fun watching that. But I really liked the one documentary that was on Netflix about Bill Gates. I thought that was fascinating.
That's good. Really good. That's good. That was really good as well. Sarah just threw out the morning show on Apple TV Plus. I enjoyed it. Now I thought it was a little slow. I felt like the first 3 episodes were the pilot and not just the first episode. But finally, once it got through to near the end of the season, I was like, okay, I want a season 2 of this. I enjoyed it. So that was good.
I'm still slowly cranking through Clone Wars, and my daughter she thinks they're better than the movie. She loves. I am
going to agree with your daughter because
really?
I really like Clone Wars. when they announced, right before they announced season 7 coming out, which I have now watched the first 4 episodes of season 7, and it was a self-contained episode, and it just all hit me again. I was like, oh my gosh, these characters, they're clones, but I care about them. How is that possible? Well, it's because
The storytelling.
Disney Plus came out with the essential 20 episodes to watch to then jump in, and I knew, so I got to revisit Darth Maul and a bunch of stuff on Mandalore, which I know is gonna with the Darksaber, which if you've seen the end of season 1 of Mandalorian, you know that's gonna make a comeback. And so anyway, nerds, yeah. What was the other thing? There was something else. So you've been going through Clone Wars. I highly recommend that as well. Rebels as well. Star Wars Rebels. Disney Plus. If you have HBO, Watchmen. We both loved that.
That was a good one.
It's heavy.
It was pretty heavy. I don't know if I would recommend that now.
I don't know if I would, but if you're really itching for something and you're somebody who can kind of maybe handle that, you know, take a look at the first episode, especially if you know
graphic novel.
The graphic novel. So
So I agree, George. He goes, Picard was the best Star Trek series I've ever seen. He's not a Star Trek fan. I was forced to watch the Next Generation, Voyager, and DS9 by my dad when I was a kid. But yeah, Picard. Yeah, that we talked about that earlier. That was real. And I liked watching the Next Generation. I
did too.
And in fact, I'm watching the season finale after Eric told me to go watch it again. But I liked all that stuff. So so I think we've gotten quite a bit of ideas for people. I'm trying to think of anything really new that I've watched that is really good as a series to binge watch, but I can't think of anything that I have done lately. But anyway, we don't have to binge stuff. It's going to be there.
We don't have to
binge. Reading some books, binge, trying something new, and if it doesn't work out, try something else. Like become like George, incredible photographer. So like maybe you want to work on your photography skills. Do that for 15 minutes. Go learn what aperture means and f-stops and all that kind of stuff and try that new. So that's kind of what our whole discussion was today. We appreciate you guys being here. It's great discussion. A lot of people talking from all the Liz goes, curve your enthusiasm. Yeah. My daughter has discovered Seinfeld and I've been watching with her some of those. They're just so good. They're just so funny. Oh, and I love Comedians in Cars. I'm ready for another season of that.
I watched through all of those. Yeah,
it's going to be Comedians in Masks. Is what it's going to be. But I don't know.
Yes, comedians in quarantine.
Yeah, drinking.
Anyway,
7-Up. I don't know. All right. Thanks everybody for watching. We appreciate it. We're going to hit stop on the old podcast machine. So there, we're off. So very cool. Thanks, Liz. You're awesome. I hope you're doing well wherever you're at. I don't know. I mean, since you're doing the RV lifestyle, do you have like a base of operations that you stay in, or you have to like move around a lot? So Money Heist on Netflix. I haven't watched that one. Have you watched that, Eric?
I don't even know what that is.
Oh, and
I know there's some other. I know there's some other better ones. Things that like I just didn't have a.
So Sarah, I just think he is so eccentric. Jeff Goldblum is, and just the way he asks questions, he does a really good job.
His inquisitive, childlike wonder and nature about the topics.
So weird. I mean, he's almost like Johnny Depp's character, Jack Sparrow. He's almost like that.
He is kind of like that,
you know. So.
There's a whole bunch of comedy specials on Netflix that would have been cool. Pointed out, but whatever.
Yeah. All right, that's. I'm gonna go get on a family Zoom call. So
I'm gonna eat some dinner.
All right. So thanks everybody for stopping by. We'll try to do it next time, and next time we'll do it in a week or so.
We will have this out as a podcast to download soon enough. So.
Right. Awesome. Thanks, everybody. Have a great start to your week. We'll see you next time. Bye now.
Bye.